A couple months ago, I came up with a video topic that I wanted to call products that can't be duped. And I started making a long list of products that I had within my collection that I was like, there is nothing that touches these at all. There's nothing that I can use in place of these. And I still have some products that are within this list that I haven't found dupes for. But as the months went on, I was purchasing more products, I was testing more out. I was kind of finding things that I would say were really good candidates for dupes for these undupable products. So today I want to share with you guys some of the dupes for my undupable product list that I was pleasantly surprised with. These are really exciting for me. I feel like they are good, in my opinion. I may be a little biased. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, then welcome. My name's Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. So before you go, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave any comments that you have for me down below. Personally, I feel like I'm pretty particular about alternatives or dupes. I want something that's going to essentially give me the same effect on the face. Sometimes the application may not be the same. Sometimes the actual product may be very different in terms of the packaging or even the formulation, but once it hits the face, if it looks the same to me, for me, I consider that a dupe. There are some products here that are more similar than others. I'm going to be talking about the similarities as well as the differences within these. So if you guys are interested in seeing what I have found as dupes and things that I use interchangeably, then let's get started. I apologize if you guys can hear the yard work. They're not supposed to be doing yard work today, and I swear to you, every time I sit down to film, they just decide, hey, let's go mow the lawn, or let's whack the weeds or something, and it drives me absolutely insane. I can't get away from it, so please ignore that if you can hear it. Oh my gosh, he's getting closer. The first thing I want to talk about is something that I have talked in length about in several of my videos in the past. This is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer in the shade Medium. If you are familiar with this product, it's supposed to be a very light, thin, pigmented, almost skin-like bronzer. It's kind of like one step up from his most recent liquid bronzer launch, you know. This has been a favorite of mine for years now. I use this pretty regularly within every single one of my makeup looks. I love it to warm up the skin, and I especially love it because it doesn't feel like it adds an extra layer of makeup. It is such a thin consistency, but it gives you really nice pigmentation. It's super even, and it doesn't patch up or skip on the skin. And recently, Physicians Formula came out with this. This is called the Diamond Bronzer. This is in the shade Deep Bronze Gem, and this has the same formulation as the Makeup by Mario one. I was shocked by this. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to find this, but I was browsing around at CVS and I saw it, and I was kind of looking at it through the little container, and I was like, that kind of looks similar to the formulation of the Makeup by Mario one. So I picked it up, and lo and behold, guys, the formulation, spot on. It has that same thin, lightweight texture, and it has so much pigmentation. Now, mind you, with the swatches, the Physicians Formula one does look quite light compared to the Makeup by Mario one. Physicians Formula only has two options for shades. They have Bronze Gem and Deep Bronze Gem. I wish that they came out with more shades, because this will definitely not work for everyone. I think that maybe if you were like 3 shades deeper than me, that's about as far as you could go with how bronzing this would be on the skin. Talking about the formulation and the way that this builds on the skin, once you put it on the skin, I will say that the Physicians Formula one does come off a little bit darker than it does with a finger swatch, and I love the blendability of this. Truly, this goes on exactly the same in the sense that it's super pigmented to begin with, but because that formula is so moist and, dare I say, greasy, it blends in effortlessly. You get the most beautiful flushed bronze on the skin. It's not going to be something that I would recommend you use as contour, because these definitely have more of that bronze undertone to where it's just going to liven up the face again after you've used foundation and concealer, or if you don't plan on wearing any makeup whatsoever, but you want a little bit more of a definition on the skin and a little bit of warmth, these would work wonders for that as well. I was so happy when I found the Physicians Formula one because, like I said, I thought that this was undupable. There is no other bronzer out in the market that I've found so far that feels similar to this until this one came around. Now, I will say that this Physicians Formula one is not cheap. I think that I purchased it from CVS anywhere between $13 to $15, and just speaking in terms of makeup, that's still pretty pricey, especially for the drugstore. Physicians Formula kind of falls into that more high price point when it comes to drugstore makeup, so it is quite pricey. However, you could still use coupons for this. You can stack it, so you can still purchase it at a lower price, and overall it is more affordable than the Makeup by Mario one. And you actually get 5.8 grams from the Physicians Formula one, while in the Makeup by Mario one you do get 5 grams. Now, these are not exact dupes, and there are very obvious reasons why, but I think that these are great alternatives. So Urban Decay Brow Blade, it is this dual-ended brow product that has like your pencil brow product, which honestly I don't even really touch, and then you have the brow pen. Now, brow pen is not this innovative new concept whatsoever, but this is my favorite brow pen that's out on the market. I love it because the brush tip is super fine, and the actual liquid pigment that comes out of here is very even. I never find that I have any skipping whenever I use this. I have this one in the shade Blackout, which I believe is the darkest shade that they offer. And for me, the new Maybelline Build-A-Brow is a very good alternative to this. And the reason why is because that brush tip is pretty much the exact same. Now, I will say that Maybelline does seem to come to a finer point. However, the pigment that comes through the pen still super even, does not skip. I don't find that it like globs on too much of the ink onto my brows and forces me to have to blend it out too much. Within the swatches, and I think also just overall, the Maybelline one does deposit a little bit lighter, a little bit more sheer. Now, this shade is lighter in general. I have this in the shade Black Brown, but when you actually get in there, you shake it up and you do the hair-like strokes, you get the same effect in the brows. The brush tip is able to get right in between my brows. I'm able to get a really nice, even, built-up brow look without it looking smudgy, without it looking too intense. And on the other side, again, the Maybelline one and the Urban Decay are different. The Urban Decay does have that pencil, while the Maybelline has this like sealant gel. Honestly, they are nice additions for me, but I don't necessarily use this product for that reason. I definitely use these more in terms of use for the pens. Next are some mascara duplicates, and this is not really a dupe in terms of finding one that's more inexpensive than the other. This is more accessibility. So these two mascaras for me have been the ones that I reach for super often. This is the Hair and Make Long and Curl Advanced Film Mascara. It is an Asian mascara. I've talked about this every chance I've gotten whenever I talk about like Asian makeup or mascaras in general. This is definitely a holy grail mascara. I've been using this for almost an entire year exclusively, and I have recently started to use this Sephora Collection Love the Lift waterproof mascara. Now, these both range within like $13 to $15 depending on where you purchase them. The Hair and Make one is a lot more difficult to get your hands on, especially because it is Asian beauty. So you have to find either a reputable Asian makeup seller or buy it online, which isn't necessarily the easiest, whereas with the Sephora one, you can go into a Sephora store, order it from Sephora, and typically the shipping is a lot faster than something that is overseas. So the reason why I think that these are really great alternatives is for the big reason, which is these both hold my curl without having to use any other mascara. I have very stubborn lashes. They do not want to hold a curl even with just your standard waterproof mascara. I always found that I had to layer my mascaras with my Maybelline Full and Soft waterproof. That was like my go-to quote-unquote primer mascara. Ever since finding this one, I haven't had to do that. It holds the curl with ease. And actually the Sephora Collection one does the same exact thing. They also both have curved brushes. Now the brushes themselves are quite different. The curve on the Sephora one is slightly more intense, but I still find that it's usable. I don't find that it's difficult for me to use it on my small eyes. I don't have such curved eyes, I guess. So when it comes to curved brush, I like a more subtle curve on it. And the bristles on the Sephora one are rubber, while the ones on the Hair and Make one are more of your standard bristle brush. But either way, they seem to both hold the actual product within the bristles very similarly. The way that they distribute on the lashes, super similar. Now, my Hair and Make one is a couple months older, so it is a little bit more dry, but I've used enough of these tubes to know that the initial formulation is super similar to the Sephora Collection one. This coats my lashes super evenly. I get really nice volume on the base of my lashes, but what I love the most is the amount of length this gives me without clumping up my lashes together. And that same exact thing goes for the Sephora Collection one. I get really, really nice volume on the base, and it just lengthens and lifts my lashes like no other. I like the clean look of length and definition on the tips of my lashes, and I like a good volume on the base of them. I know that's very particular, but I feel like that's what works best for my eyes, you know? And another great thing I've noticed about both of these is that neither of them smudge, neither of them smear or flake off of the eyes. And while the Sephora Collection one is a little bit easier to take off at the end of the day, I do end up using my Hair and Make mascara remover to remove both of them because they are both pretty much budge proof for the most part. And throughout the day, they just hold their integrity. It looks like fresh mascara, and if you wanted to build layers on top, you could do so with very, very minimal clumping. So I love both of these. I highly recommend both if you can get your hands on either one. This one is a really fun one that I, again, didn't ever think that I was going to find a dupe for because I was just completely sold on the fact that this would ever be the only one of its kind, which is kind of silly thinking about, but that's how much I loved this product. This is the One Size setting spray. This is the On Till Dawn mattifying waterproof setting spray. And as we're familiar, this is an aerosol can. It comes out essentially like a hairspray, dries down really nicely, and for me, I think that this works flawlessly for those of us that have oily skin because it sets down your makeup without adding any extra hydration that may speed up the process of you getting oily throughout the day. And recently, L'Oreal came out with a brand new setting spray. It looks like a tiny little hairspray. This is the Infallible 3-second setting mist, and just like the One Size, this does come in this spray aerosol can. They both have a very, very fine hairspray-like mist to it. The One Size does have a stronger push of product, so that product will kind of like hit the direction that you're going for at a farther length, you know, while the L'Oreal one at the end of it kind of loses a little bit of that strength and the mist kind of goes everywhere. So you do have to spray this slightly closer to the face than you do with the One Size one. They both have a little bit of a scent to it, but the L'Oreal one, I will say, is much stronger scented than the One Size. The One Size was already kind of like a really strong scent for me, but because this product works so well, I've been able to just like hold my breath and wait for it to dry, and I'm okay with that. The L'Oreal one does take a little bit more getting used to because, again, that scent is stronger and it does linger a little bit longer. The L'Oreal one, I would say, gives you a little bit of that tight hairspray like feeling on the face a little bit more intensely than the One Size. Both of them do fade within, I would say, a couple of minutes, maybe like 5 minutes tops, you know? It definitely does feel like with both of these, you're just spraying hairspray on your face. There's really no getting around it if you use these. They do end up feeling the same. Like I have the L'Oreal one on this side and I have the One Size on this side, and they feel the exact same now on my skin after like 15-20 minutes of spraying them. I haven't yet been able to test out the longevity of my makeup with like comparing the two, so I will put here how my makeup does by the end of tonight if I see any difference, if I can compare them at all. But I did use the L'Oreal one exclusively 2 days in a row, and I did find that my makeup lasted really, really well, very similarly to how I remember the One Size lasting. And it's a 1.76 fluid ounce can, while this one is a 3.4 ounce can. I like this one more, but if we're talking like actual dupes or alternatives, maybe there's something about the One Size that you don't particularly like, the L'Oreal one is going to act the exact same as the One Size. Next, we have, again, another Sephora collection product. These are brand new to Sephora. These are called About That Shine Sheer Shine Lipsticks. And these, you guys, I'm pretty positive are the same exact thing as the Fenty Beauty Slip Shine lipsticks. Now, there's definitely a resemblance here. Even in the packaging, you do have a little bit of that duochrome metallic look on both of these packages here. They're similar in color as well. And this is not surprising, seeing that Sephora and Sephora Collection are also owned by the same brand that owns Fenty, which is Kendo Beauty. That is like the mother company of Fenty and Sephora and multiple other brands that are in Sephora actually. Now, I did compare the ingredients lists, and they're not as similar as like an actual true ingredient dupe is, but when it comes to the feel on the lips, the swatches, the pigmentation of these, they are spot on dupes, and I am confident in saying that they are spot on dupes. Now, I didn't go in with the intention to get color dupes. I just went into Sephora and I swatched a bunch of these brand new lipsticks to see which ones I like the most, and they just so happen to be the same shades as my two Fenty Slip Shines, which makes sense because that is my taste, that is my type. So the way that they feel on the lips, both formulations are a very thin formula. Doesn't feel like a lipstick, doesn't necessarily feel like a lip balm. It's somewhere in between. It feels super lightweight, but gives you really nice sheer but buildable pigmentation. The Fenty ones do tend to have some noticeable glitter within them, which makes them look a little more metallic on the lips as well as on the swatch. But I actually have both of these on right now, and I have the Sephora one in number 2 on my right side, and then I have the Fenty Beauty in Cookies and Cocoa on my left side. And honestly, if you're just looking at it here, you can't even tell that there's glitter on one side and no glitter on the other. Like I said, it does give you ultimately the same finished lip look. When you rub your lips together, they have that same very thin, kind of like Vaseline-y type of feel, but super light Vaseline-y feel. I guess the only reason why I say Vaseline is because it's slippery, you know? I believe these have the same amount of wear time. I did wear the Sephora Collections one a couple of times now, and they don't last super long, again, because they are more of that thin formulation, but these are a pleasure to reapply because of how easy they slip onto the lips and how hydrating they are as well. I'm thoroughly impressed by these. I love the Slip Shines from Fenty. I feel like they're definitely slept on, and I'm excited to see that Sephora Collection has a bunch that we can choose from. Now, these aren't exact dupes like the last one was, but I figured I would still mention it in case you were curious. I do have sort of like a YSL Candy Lip Glaze dupe. This is in the shade number 4. I think it's called Nude Pleasure, but this is the only one I own. I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's such a luxurious formulation. And again, Sephora Collection coming through with a brand new lip launch. This is the Lacquer Shine, also in the number 4. And in the tube, I would say they look very, very different. The YSL one does look a little bit more beigey, a lighter color in general, while the Sephora Collection tube one does pull a lot darker and a little bit more like a mauve tone. But when I put this on the lips, they looked the same. And it could very well be color theory again. If you are darker or lighter than I am, these may look completely different on your skin tone. But I will show you guys what this looks like on either side of my lips. To me, I think they're very, very similar. The YSL one definitely has a lot more shine to it when you build it up, but if you go in with a light layer of this, you can get the same effect with the Sephora Collection one. The Sephora Collection one, I will say, is slightly less shiny, less lip glossy. So maybe if you're not a huge fan of how shiny and the lip gloss like the YSL ones are all the time, then maybe you would benefit from the Sephora Collection one. And I wanted to mention this one just because there are brand new beautiful shades within this line, and maybe you really enjoy the way that the YSL one looks on your lips, but you can't really justify forking out like another $40. Check these out, see what you think of them. If anything, you can add a tiny bit of gloss on top and it would give you the same exact effect. And lastly, I wanted to throw out there a fragrance dupe. I've talked about the Glossier You perfume and how much I adore this perfume. This was my go-to for years and years, and it was the only perfume that I owned, the only perfume that I would wear. It lasted so beautiful, so long on my skin, and it sat really nicely and just like developed really nicely. I know that there are tons of dupes out there now. I've done a lot of research. I've purchased a couple, like probably a handful of dupes that people have recommended to me that I've seen on TikTok, on YouTube, all the places, you know. But the closest one in scent, I would say, is actually this one from Bath & Body Works, and it's a body mist. This is the If You Musk Fine Fragrance Mist. So this has notes of iris, pink pepper, and airy musk, which is very similar to the Glossier You perfume. Now, of course, because this one is a body mist, it doesn't last nearly as long as the Glossier You one. However, since they reformulated the Glossier You whenever they went into Sephora stores, I noticed that the longevity on this wasn't as long as the original formulation, which was really, really disappointing, which is why I started looking for alternatives for the Glossier You, because I just wasn't happy with the way it sat on my skin anymore. It tended to kind of like turn a little bit weird smelling on me, and it didn't last as long. But this one is such a good dupe if you want that same Glossier You scent, you know? You're definitely gonna have to use more of this throughout the day. It's gonna be something that you have to reapply, but it does sit on my skin the same exact way, which was so exciting for me. I've tried the Diptyque one. I'm looking at the Lato one. I've heard that Fleur Missing Person. The Clean Skin one is similar. Like, I have so many. There's also one that they sell at Urban Outfitters, and they're all in like the same family, I would say. But when it comes to actually smelling like this is going to be the closest one. And I did buy this on sale at Bath & Body Works. I believe they still have it on their site if they don't have it in stores anymore. But I did purchase two just to be safe, and I really, really enjoy this. This, I think, is going to kind of hold me over until I find a fragrance that I love more than the Glossier You, or just generally I find like a perfume exact dupe to the Glossier You. All right, guys, those were all of the dupes that I have found. Let me know in the comments down below if you have tried any of these, what you think about these products. And if you would like to share a little wealth of knowledge with the rest of us, let us know in the comments down below some of your best dupes that you have found within your collection. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.